Today, the biggest pain points for corporate treasurers on a global basis really revolve around three topics. One is around risks and the associated activities supporting those. One is around regulations and the activities that they're having to contend with in all different geographies. And the third one is around talent. So let me take the first one. Risks really encompass multiple activities around counterparty risk, concentration risk, settlement risk, and operations risk. And the treasurers today are having to come to grips with how to deal with these in different geographies because they're at different stages of development. But on a global basis, their activities really are about how they protect their company to enable their commercial activities to be able to do more business with their clients. Number two, for regulatory issues, it's really around the dramatic increase in regulatory requirements from governments and regulatory bodies in different regions. So today, with scaled-down treasury resources in their companies, they're having to deal with everything from the launch and development of SEPA to the Dodd-Frank issues in the United States to the internationalization of the renminbi and how they themselves will deal with the compliance issues that they're also having to contend with across different geographies and different nationalities. Number three is talent. As they continue to look for growth opportunities themselves, the treasury teams, while being scaled down, are looking to develop talent within their own organizations. Mobility has become a key opportunity for them within their companies to identify new sources of talent that can help them grow, not just within the treasury teams, but across finance, the commercial activities as well. And we're seeing really a diversification of that where people are looking for opportunities themselves to grow internationally.
And people ask the question, are we going to have more difficulties to go on with? And I think one of the things to remember is that when we compare difficult situations, we're thinking of often the global crisis of 2008. At that time, there was one epicenter, it was the United States. Now we have a situation where the global economy is yet again at a crisis, but now we have three epicenters. One in the euro area, one in the US called the fiscal cliff, and the third that's emerging in China, of all places, which was this great growth model, but now the fear is that there's going to be a great slowdown. Whether or not things will continue depends upon policy. For the first time in my professional life, we have a merging of political economy that really is integrated. And it is so much more important now than ever before that policymakers, political policymakers, get their acts together and try to make some decisive, important decisions that they've delayed years and years into the future.
In terms of how the treasurers need to respond to some of the market and economic conditions, I think there are three areas they need to focus on much more intensely. There needs to be far greater agility in adjusting their treasury policies, their approach to funding, risk management, and centralization. There needs to be an ability to respond quickly to market changes, given some of the shifts that we're seeing in the global economy. And thirdly, they need to have a much wider role within the overall organization in influencing decisions around sales and marketing, procurement, cost management, and supply chain issues.
When we talk to our clients, I've noticed that there's an overwhelming sense that they can't keep a regional focus and they can't have a national focus. There really is the sense that we have to keep our eye on the global economy because globalization and really the interlinking of trade flows and capital flows has really made it completely an absolute requirement on the part of corporate treasurers to keep track of things that are going all over the world. And in order to do that, they really need information and processing of that information, and having local intelligence help them with that gathering of intelligence and processing, I think is a very vital part of certainly the function we do, but certainly what a treasurer has to be looking for. When Basel III has been a development which it came as almost a what do we do now that we had a financial crisis? How do we avoid another one? And so what the regulators were intending to do is to try to recapitalize the banking system in a way that created confidence, that people would believe that the next crisis, the banks will be strong enough to survive whatever the shock will bring. And then by imposing all of these restrictions, they're actually looking at the previous crisis as a model of what the next crisis is going to be. And of course, we can never predict what the next crisis is. So regulation and regulators and supervisors are almost always fighting the last war.
Corporate clients, I think it's very important not to see some of the regulatory changes as just impacting the banks. There will ultimately be a flow-on effect in terms of access to different instruments from a funding perspective. I think even beyond Basel III, there's a lot of change going on with the single euro payment area, with MiFID, with the Dodd-Frank Act. And what we're encouraging our corporate treasurers to think about is that they do need to have a plan, a strategic plan that incorporates the impact of regulation as far as access to bank products is concerned. There will be some products that will become more expensive and others that will need to be restructured to ensure that the compliance with regulation is there.
And that's true, Swati, across the board, from not just the financial aspects, but also their commercial activities, everything from letters of credit to overdraft facilities, all of the financing tools that a bank has within its toolbox to provide to its corporate clients. The clients themselves have to work with their banking partners to understand the impact on them with the advent of Basel III as well.